StraighTallDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative that is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unified philosophy that is called work on your game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is why ambitious men should be monogamous. Yes, why ambitious men should be monogamous. Now, I know that you have heard other men say otherwise. You've heard other men who I have actually given credit to defended on this very platform say different than what I'm about to say here today. That's completely fine. That's the reason why those men are those men and I am me. And on the heels of things that we have seen over the years, especially in 2025 alone, by the time you all hear this, it's been months or at least several weeks from when I'm recording this. So this is not a current events type of show. But if you like to hear my current event talk, you like to hear me talk about current events, just tune into my live streams, which happen Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern on whatever social media app you prefer. I'm on all of them. They all have live streaming platforms, capabilities. I'm on all of them. But that's where I talk about current events. But just on the heels of things we've seen over the years, regardless of what year we're talking, you could be listening to this in 2030. It is still true that you have probably heard of and maybe know of stories of men who are publicly noted for their success and accomplishments, and somehow, some way, getting themselves caught up in situations that have nothing to do with what made them famous, i.e. their music or playing a sport or being a politician or writing a book or being a professional speaker or being a podcaster or some form of entertainer. They get caught up in situations that have nothing to do with that. And that situation ends up possibly derailing them, maybe sending them to jail, costing them money via a civil lawsuit, costing them hits to their reputations and other things, simply because they somehow, some way ended up making some mistake with a woman. Usually it's some type of sexual misconduct that they are alleged of. Let's just put it that way. Some form of alleged sexual misconduct. Here's the thing about alleged sexual misconduct, folks, is that rarely do you see a man who is in a committed monogamous relationship ever accused of some form of sexual misconduct. Keywords: committed monogamous relationship. Now, just because someone is in a relationship does not mean they're in a committed monogamous relationship. Today, I'm going to tell you. That's what I'm going to tell you here today. Why it is smart if you are ambitious. Okay, so it's very important that we focus on this word ambitious, because if you are not ambitious, then I'm not talking about you. And if you're not a man, I'm also not talking about you. But if you are not ambitious and or not a man, you still should listen to what I'm going to say, because you need to understand this. Definition of ambitious means full of, characterized, or motivated by ambition. It's a terrible definition because it's using the same word. Ambition means requiring or showing much effort, also challenging. So if you're a type of person who wants to achieve something that requires a whole lot of effort and you know it's going to be challenging and you go after it anyway, that's an ambitious person. If you are an ambitious man, when it comes to your overall personal and professional success, I suggest you be in one relationship with one woman at a time. That's what I mean. Today I'm going to explain why. Point number one. Today's topic, once again, is why ambitious men should be monogamous. Number one, you have 5 forms of investment. Talked about this in episode 609. What are your 5 forms of investment? Let's say them together. Time, money, attention, energy, and focus. That's it. You got to give all 5 to anything in which you shall be successful, fruitful, or prosperous. Time is the most valuable of the 5. Why? Because if you run out of time, everything's over. You can run out of the other 4. You cannot run out of time. Time is worth 60% of this 100% pie. You run out of time, this is known as death. Each of the other 4, on top of the time, is necessary to create success in any aspect of your life. You cannot create success without investing money, attention, energy, or focus in addition to time. You must give all 4 of these in addition to time, that makes 5, to be successful in anything. Any of you listening to this who's successful at anything, I guarantee you have invested time, money, attention, energy, and focus into your success. Guaranteed. None of you has achieved success without putting in all 5. Now, why does that matter? The issue for a man is that if you are splitting your resources, these 5 things I just mentioned, these are your resources. If you are splitting your resources amongst multiple women or the chase of these women or the enjoyment of these women, and notice plural, women, plural, or if they happen to be chasing you, okay? Let's say it may be enjoyment because they're coming after you. So you're just partaking in everything that's coming your way. You're just letting it come your way. The challenge of this, the trade-off of this, remember, no such thing as a free lunch, folks. The trade-off is that your resources, let's think about it. You got a bunch of women coming at you, your time, maybe your money, definitely your attention, definitely your energy, and definitely your focus are what? They are being divided, not only some of it going towards your ambition and your focus and your purpose, but some of it has to go towards your enjoyment or engagement with these women. Your resources are being spread out amongst multiple things that are not related to your ambition and your long-term goals. That's a guarantee. This is not a theory. All right. If you are a man out there and you have long-term ambitions that you wish to achieve, and at the same time, you are engaging and partaking with multiple females, whether they are coming to you and you're just letting them in, or you're going to them because you're hunting them down, or whatever it is you're doing, doesn't even matter. If you're dealing with multiple females as a man, that means some of your resources are going towards whatever the woman is asking for or whatever you're giving to that woman, and they're not going towards your ambition and towards your goals. Now, why does that matter? Let's remember the title of this episode, Ambitious Men. If you are an ambitious man and you're trying to achieve something that usually involves a great deal of effort and difficulty, you need as much of your resources dedicated to that achievement as possible so that you can achieve it, first of all, achieve it at all, and secondly, achieve it as quickly as possible, which might mean before you die. Because depending on how ambitious you are, it might take you a while to reach that goal. But if you're dividing your resources, that means it's going to take you that much longer to reach the goal. And if you're okay with reaching your goal 5 years later than what you could have reached it, then you are not by definition ambitious, because part of ambition is doing something that's challenging, and part of a challenge is doing something faster than everybody else does it. So if you are truly ambitious, you can't be dividing your resources. Now, why am I focusing then on just the dividing of resources when it comes to females? Why? Because heterosexual men are attracted to women. And these days, especially in the world that we're in today, there are more temptations, whether in real life or in your virtual life, i.e. through your phone, to engage with women who are making themselves very available to a man, regardless of your level of ambition. Just the fact that you're a warm-blooded heterosexual man, there's a lot of women offering themselves in some way, shape, or form in such a way that is asking for your time, your money, your attention, your energy, and your focus. Do you understand? If you're ambitious, you cannot afford to give these up to anything, other than your purpose. If you're ambitious. I'm going to keep saying that throughout this episode. If you're ambitious. Everything I'm saying here today is if you're ambitious. Okay? You have to decide what you really want to do. You cannot spread your resources out amongst multiple things if you wish to achieve ambitiously. That means you're achieving something that's difficult, challenging. Most people are not going to even try to do, let alone will they succeed at doing it, and you want to do it within a certain time frame. You have to decide what you really want. You do not have the space to be frivolous nor generous with your resources. Let me repeat that sentence. If you are an ambitious man, you do not have the space to be frivolous nor generous with your resources. Did everybody hear that? When you are engaging with women, again, doesn't matter how you're engaging with them, whether you're going and finding them or they're coming and finding you. Either way, there's a cost. If no other cost, you got to give your time. If you are ambitious and you're trying to do that and go after your goals at the same time, hey, maybe you will achieve both. This is the cop-out that a lot of men who are listening to me right now are thinking in their heads. Well, you're either thinking about yourself or you're thinking about some example of a man, somebody you saw on the internet who you think has done both. Well, look at this guy. He had a whole bunch of girls, and he's one of the best basketball players, and he's making great albums, and he's made this much money, and his net worth is this much according to Google, whatever you found on the internet. What about this, Dre? This person has been able to do all these things, and they are able to get all the girls at the same time. Two things that I will say. Number one, don't believe everything you see on the internet. Believe half of what you see and none of what you hear regarding everything that you just mentioned, regarding girls, regarding net worth, regarding money, regarding success, etc., etc. Anything that you cannot objectively measure, such as how many points someone had in the game, don't believe it on the internet. Again, half of what you see, none of what you hear. Number two, what the hell does that have to do with you? What the hell does that have to do with you? So if you're looking at, and this is often the case with young males, who are the subject here today, males are the subject, but younger males is often the case with them, is that they will cite some example of some famous male having allegedly defied whatever it is that I'm saying, and they will hold that example up to me. Somebody will show me something that Allen Iverson did, or LeBron James, or Kobe Bryant, or Jay-Z, or Drake, or Meek Mill, or Rick Ross, or some rapper, or some athlete. Usually it's some entertainer or some athlete. I want to let you all know something, for those of you who are not old enough nor mature enough to understand it, that athletes and entertainers are aberrations when it comes to what the average man does, how they live, and what they have. Most men, and that includes most of you listening to me, do not have the God-given talents of most athletes, and you are not going to live the life of at least what is portrayed by most entertainers. Most of us do not live that way. Okay? Even the athletes, most athletes don't live that way. The athletes amongst the athletes don't live the way most athletes are purported to live, at least the ones that you heard of. Most entertainers do not live the way most entertainers that you heard of are purported to have lived. So these are exceptions that prove the rule. Unfortunately, a lot of men women do this as well, but men tend to hang on to the exceptions and say, well, I'll just be the exception. After Allen Iverson came into the NBA, he played for my hometown Philadelphia 76ers in the late 90s going into the early 2000s. How many young men who were from the hood and had a little bit of street, let's say, for lack of a better term, a little bit of street or gangster to them, and were kind of undersized and smallish guys. Allen Iverson was a pretty small guy, maybe not even 6 feet tall, and 165 pounds, soaking wet. And he was from the hood, and he had all these tattoos, and he was basically a street corner N-word who just happened to be so good at basketball that he was able to make it to the NBA. How many guys who fit that whole frame, except minus the basketball talent, thought they could become Allen Iverson because of Allen Iverson? A whole bunch of them. There were thousands of young men who thought they could become Allen Iverson because they saw Allen Iverson. The problem is, Allen Iverson came to the NBA in 1996. I'm recording this in 2025. I ain't seen another Allen Iverson yet. Not one. Exceptions prove the rule. Does everybody understand what I'm saying here? So if you're ambitious and you're trying to go after your goals at the same time as you're trying to engage and partake with as many of the women as possible, you're going to get beat by, let me tell you who you're going to get beat by, other men who are not spreading their resources wide and thin. That's who you're going to get beat by. Doesn't mean you can't still somehow, some way win. You can still win in your way. But again, if we're talking about you being ambitious, that means you're putting all your eggs in one basket and then watching the hell out of that basket, as the saying goes. Not let me put some eggs in this basket and some eggs in another basket. That's not ambition. Ambition is all my eggs going in this basket, and that's what I'm going after. You can't ambitiously go after two things at the same time. Does everybody understand me? That's just point number one. Point number two. Today's topic, once again, is why ambitious men should be monogamous. Number two, when you are ambitious, assuming that you have skill, effort, and you're serious about it, eventually you're going to start achieving things. That's usually what happens. If an ambitious man, that means a person with big goals, is actually good enough to achieve some of those goals, or at least to be in the process of achieving those goals, meaning you got some skill, you give the effort, and you're serious about it, eventually you're going to start getting some wins and people are going to start noticing you. Oh, look at this person. They're kind of doing something. What happens when you start achieving things, folks? Anyone listening to this who has any level of career or professional or athletic achievements in your life, what happens when you start achieving things? Well, there's several things that happen, but one of the things that happens when you start achieving things is people start noticing. They start noticing you. Oh, look at that. Look at this guy. He's one of the best players on the basketball team on our college campus. Oh, who's he? Oh, he's on the football team. Who's that? Oh, he's one of the top lawyers in town. Oh, who's this person? Oh, they make this much money, allegedly. Oh, who's that person? Oh, they have a new album out, and this is the number one album in the town right now. When you start achieving, you draw attention. Attention comes with achievement. Attention follows achievement, better way of saying it. So what comes with that attention? What do I mean when I say attention? That means you're going to have fans. Any of you who plays a sport, you have fans, especially if you have achievement, especially if your achievement is public-facing achievement. So sports is a good example here, because when you're a successful athlete, everybody knows about it. Because when you play a sport, everybody's watching you at work. As opposed to being a lawyer or a doctor or a financial advisor, your work is done behind closed doors, and most of the public doesn't even know who you are or what you did. When you're an athlete, everybody knows every single thing you did. Everything about what you did, everybody knows it. It's public news. A doctor performing a successful surgery is not news. An athlete scoring 30 points is news. So attention, ladies and gentlemen, however you get it and whyever you get it, it starts to draw fans, supporters, and people who will look for ways to take from you what you have or what you are purported to have. This is one of the trade-offs of drawing attention, is that people who want to somehow participate in the fruits of your labor are going to come around like ants show up to a picnic. It doesn't necessarily mean they're trying to hurt you. It's just they're trying to get some of what you have because it looks like you got it. Now, this is just how human nature works. It looks like you have something. People are going to come around trying to get some of it for themselves, because most people do not understand the laws of economics. They don't understand there's no such thing as getting something for nothing, but they will damn sure try to get something for nothing. They don't want to put in the work, but they want to participate in the upside. This is what they're looking for. All right, this is the reason why you see athletes and entertainers ending up having babies out of wedlock with Instagram models who are not wife or really not even mother material, but they end up having babies with these women. Why? Because the men, lacking discipline, have unprotected sex with these women, get them pregnant, and because they have money, they think it's okay. I can just pay for the child to exist. I don't have to spend any time with them. Now you just created an 18-year annuity for this woman. She wasn't what you shooting in the gym, but now she got 18 years of payments coming out of your pocket, out of the money that you made based on your talent and your ambition, and a child that leaves you forever connected to this woman who you might not even wanted to be with other than the weekend that you spent with her at the hotel. This is what's happening. Why? Because attention draws people who are looking for ways to get something out of what you've done, out of the effort that you've put in. And I've seen this so many times. I've seen it on, of course, many of you can probably point out some examples of this happening on a widespread level where we all know the names, but I've seen this happen on a local level. I live in Miami, Florida, where it's a whole lot of this going on, and I see it all the time. I see these people walking past me. I see them in the elevator, the men and the women, by the way. So attention draws fans, supporters, and people who will take from you. In other words, when news comes out that you have created a lot of anything, money being one of the main things that draws a lot of attention, people try to get some out of you. Again, maybe not take all of it, but they're just going to try to get some. All right, this is the reason why America is the most litigious society in the world. You know who gets sued? Broke people never get sued. You know who gets sued? People who are noted or believed to have money. You only get sued when people think you got money. People think you have money, they will try to come up with a reason to sue you, or sue you for no reason at all, just to see if they can get a settlement and get some money out of you. And it's a form of something for nothing. If you are a person who likes to show people all of your material possessions, you like to show people your jewelry, your cars, your houses, someone may come and try to steal those things from you. I have some friends who are influencers, and part of their marketing mix, for lack of a better term, is to tell people how much stuff they got, about their material possessions. I got this, I spent this, I dropped this, I went here, I bought this for my girl. And they like to let people know that they have these material possessions, and they're doing it as a way of enticing people in and saying, hey, if you want to live like I live, all you got to do is come sign up for my course or join my coaching program, et cetera, et cetera. I understand why they're doing it. I understand the trade-off of doing things that way. Well, there's two trade-offs as far as I'm concerned. One trade-off is that you're attracting people who are interested in you because you're showing them what you have. I personally am not interested in attracting people who are coming to me just for that. If you believe I have it, cool. But I'm not going to tell you that I got it. And number two, if that's the only reason you're coming into my world, I don't want you in my world. So that's why I don't do that type of marketing. But I understand why some people do, because it works for them. But the other trade-off of you doing that, is that there are going to be some people who say, oh, you got all that? Okay, let me see if I can get some of it. I know people who had their houses broken into. People who have been robbed based on the fact that they keep telling everybody what they have. Okay, you keep telling everybody what you got. You got 1 million followers. Okay, eventually somebody's going to try to take it from you. I mean, you told me you had it. All right, so you don't know who those 1 million people are. And this is what happens. This is one of the trade-offs. And again, let's stay on the topic here. I just went on a little diversion there, digression. If you're known for showing people that you have things, women may either come or be sent. This is part of the game. They will either come or be sent to try to separate you from your things. Again, many men's number one weakness is an appetite for sex. This is the reason why I said ambitious men. I'm speaking specifically about heterosexual men, but I guess it's going to apply to homosexual men as well. I'm sure it applies to you all too. I don't know that world well enough. I'm thinking of heterosexual men when I talk about this, but if you're homosexual, you could apply this to yourself with what you know. Women will come and or be sent to try to separate you from your things. Why? Because a man who is ambitious has a strong inner drive. And that inner drive from a man, the inner drive of a man comes from our testicles. Why? Because our testicles produce testosterone. That is the drive hormone. That's the thing that makes us want to win, makes us want to compete, gets us out of bed in the morning, makes us go lift weights, makes us stay later, makes us take an extra 10 phone calls. That testosterone driven drive is what makes a man a man. When a man is in what they call low testosterone, that's when a man has no energy, he's sluggish, he's lethargic, he doesn't feel like a man anymore, he doesn't have any presence, he can't command attention, he can't command respect, he doesn't feel like himself anymore, maybe he can't even get his penis hard to have sex because he's low on testosterone. When a man is high in testosterone, he's the opposite of all those things. He has a certain energy that you can feel coming off of him without him even saying a word. You don't even have to know who he is. He just walks by. You're like, that's somebody, because the testosterone level is high. This is the reason why men get so hyper-focused on testosterone, especially as men get older, especially once men get around the 40 and up range. You hear a lot of men talking about testosterone, how to keep it up, how to get it up, and keep the testosterone up, and also how to get it up, if you know what I'm saying, or if they have a woman in their life. The whole point here, folks, is that an ambitious man who has that high drive, well, the drive is coming from his testosterone. The testosterone is in the testicles. The testicles right next to the penis. And guess what? That also leads to sexual drive, sexual appetite. This is the reason why ambitious men tend to draw a lot of opportunistic women to them. It's scientific, folks. I just gave it to you. I just gave you the science in a everyday language way, but I just gave you the science. An ambitious man has a lot of drive. That drive comes from his balls. That same drive affects his reproductive organ, and that same drive will lead him to taking advantage or partaking in, let's not say taking advantage, wrong connotation, but leads him to partaking in the women who are offering themselves to him. Why not? Why not? Listen to the stories of Magic Johnson. How do you think he attained the HIV virus? And you don't know the stories about Magic Johnson, what he was doing and how he ended up getting HIV? Go listen. He'll tell you himself. Go listen to the stories of what Magic Johnson was doing after the games in LA when he was playing for the Lakers, how he ended up with HIV. Magic was out there moving reckless. Great basketball player, one of the greatest of all time. Look up his basketball reference page. It's amazing. Magic was moving reckless. The same drive that made him great at basketball made him start moving reckless. And he ended up out of the NBA. People don't even understand. In the NBA, they have a list called the All-NBA team. All-NBA team is basically the top five players in the league every year. It's basically, and they do three teams: All-NBA first team, second team, third team. So if you look up the All-NBA first, second, and third teams, that's a list of the top 15 players who mattered in basketball every single year. Magic Johnson, before he retired at the end of the 1991 season, before the start of the 91-92 season, Magic Johnson had made the All-NBA first team every year for, I believe it was 9 straight years. Also, MVP voting. The top 5 of MVP is basically the 5 best basketball players in the world every year. Magic Johnson, let me look this up to make sure that I am quoting it correctly, because I was looking at this not too long ago. So I know I'm pretty close. So let me make sure I'm 100% accurate on this, because I was just recently talking about this. If someone had posted on social media, who's better, Magic Johnson or Steph Curry? The answer is very easily Magic Johnson, by the way. Those of you who are under 30, I know you probably think Steph Curry, but you're wrong. Magic Johnson made All-NBA first team 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years in a row. That means for 9 straight years, Magic Johnson was one of the top 5 basketball players in the world 9 years in a row. This is while he was going around crazy with his reproductive organ and serving 2 masters at the same time. Top 5 in the NBA. And during that same 9-year stretch, Magic Johnson was in the top 5 for MVP voting. So not only was he in the top 15, he was actually in the top 5 of NBA players in the world 9 years straight. He was in the top 5 of players total of everything. Out of the top 15, he was in the top 5. But then MVP, top 3, not top 5, top 3 MVP voting. MVP is basically the best player in the world. Magic was in the top 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years in a row. 9 years in a row, he's one of the top 3 players in the world. Now, you can't tell me Steph Curry has that, because he ain't got it. Look at his page. Steph Curry ain't that. Steph Curry's very good. Shout out to Steph Curry. He ain't Magic Johnson. I'm telling you all that to tell you this. Because Magic was moving so reckless with his penis, because that same drive that made him great at basketball made him go chase or welcome the available vagina, for lack of a better term. No, that's the term I want to use, actually. That's the best term. Magic had to walk away from basketball in 1991. Now, 1991, the Lakers had just lost in the NBA Finals to this guy named Michael Jordan, his first championship with the Chicago Bulls. Understand that year when Magic had to walk away from the NBA, this is the 91-92 NBA season. Understand, Magic Johnson was only 31 years of age. He was not a declining basketball player. That previous season, before he was forced to walk away because of a lack of discipline, Magic Johnson had finished second in MVP voting. He was the second best player in the world. He was in the top 5 in basketball players in the world. It's not like he was at the tail end of his career and had to retire. He was still at the peak. He was still one of the best players in the world. He had to walk away. I'm telling you that to tell you this. His drive that he utilized to go get the women and the sex cost him the very thing that he had been working for, which is the ambition he had for basketball. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? When you are known, this is what happens. The temptations come around. Magic Johnson didn't have the discipline to say no to the temptations. And even if he hadn't said no to the temptations, he did not have the discipline to at least protect himself. That's how he ends up with the HIV virus. And Magic Johnson was married, by the way. So when you have this drive and you start getting noted for your success, you will be tempted by your number one weakness. Your number one weakness is not work and making money and winning championships on the basketball court. Your number one weakness is your appetite for sex. Any man who's ambitious. I already know this. I don't have to know you. I already explained to you why I know it. Especially sex is offered to you on a silver platter. You only have to go work for it. Oh, you only got to pay for a date. Oh, she'll just come to your hotel room. Oh, why not? Yeah, I'm not telling you not to do it. I didn't say be celibate. I said be in a monogamous relationship. That's what I'm saying. Because when it's offered to you on a silver platter and you know you're in a relationship, then you already know what the answer is. You don't have to think about it. You reduce decision friction. What a lot of you may not know, especially if you don't have a lot of life experience, is that a lot of the women who are offering their asses on the internet, I did a whole episode on these women. If you do not remember it, it was the episode where I talked about the ass models on Instagram. That was episode number 3203. What many of you may not know is that a lot of these women are not working alone. A lot of these women are not working alone. Many of them are working for literal pimps. P-I-M-P, pimps. You thought that was just a song that 50 Cent made years ago? No, they are real life pimps. And if you thought pimping ended back in the 60s and the 70s, no, it did not. There are still pimps to this day. I'm recording this in 2025. Yes, there are pimps. They do exist. I've known girls who worked for pimps. I've been on dates with girls who told me that they worked for pimps. Not they were working for pimps at that time, because that would make me a John or a trick or a customer. I was not a customer, but they told me that they used to work for pimps. I've actually multiple girls, as a matter of fact, now that I'm thinking about it. This is a thing. And the men control the entire operation. So what do the men do? They go and find men like you who are achieving some level of success and looks like you have some resources. Then they go find a girl that you would be attracted to, and they send the girl to go make herself known to you. And the whole point is to separate you from your resources in some way, shape, or form. The man is controlling the entire process. You never see the man. You don't know the man exists. You never meet the man. He's directing the girl to do what she ends up doing, which is to use her available sex, use the sex that she's offering to you to separate you from your resources in some way, shape, or form. There is a whole business around this. All they look for is men who are easily manipulated by sex. Any of you didn't know that this was a thing, it is a thing. Go ask some man you know who has some life experience. They will confirm everything that I'm telling you. This is the actual game. Y'all think the game is just a girl is pretty and she takes some pictures and puts them on Instagram and gets a bunch of likes. Yeah, that's the after school special version. That's the Disney version of what's happening. The real version is what I just told you. Y'all need to understand this. So although women tend to gossip more than men, here's another thing you'll know to be true. You should know to be true and accept it. When you get a man around a woman who he is interested in sexually for whatever reason, that man will start gossiping the way a woman does. In other words, a man will tell all of his business to a woman who he is sexually interested in. This happens as well. Now, why does this matter? Because the woman takes all the information that man has shared with her, in colloquial we call this pillow talking. Man talking to a woman while they're both laying on the pillow before or after sex. And all the things that he's pouring out to her, she is just taking notes. She's downloading everything he's telling her about his business, what he has, where he's going, who his kids are, et cetera, et cetera. That woman takes that business back to her pimp, who is controlling her. And the pimp, this is the man, he finds a way to go after that man at his most vulnerable points. Again, the only way the pimp knows the vulnerable points of the man is because the man shared his vulnerabilities to the woman. See, a man wouldn't share his vulnerabilities with another man, but he would share them with a woman he's sexually interested in. The woman is the go-between to get all the information for that pimp, and that's how they find you. That's how they go get you. This happens all the time, and depending on where you live, you may know about this. Big cities, New York, LA, Vegas, Houston, Atlanta, Miami, this stuff happens all the time. This is everyday stuff. On top of the fact that that woman may have been inside of that man's cars, she's been in his house, she knows intimate details about that man that he wouldn't tell anyone else, especially to a man. When you catch a man moving around sloppily, it's usually due to a woman. Think about that. Think of all the times you've seen a man moving sloppy. What was the reason he was moving sloppy? Usually because he was following his penis. Think of the last 5 times you heard about a man moving sloppy. He did something he shouldn't have did. Unprotected sex with the wrong woman, unwanted pregnancy, contracted some virus, got charged with sexual assault. Almost every single time, got tricked out of his money somehow, some way. Almost every single time, think about it. Almost every single time is because he was chasing his penis. He was following his penis instead of having his penis follow him, if you get what I'm saying. Men understand the weakness of men. And that's why they go use a woman to get to a man. Because if a man tried to connive money out of another man, the other man would have his defenses up as soon as a man comes to him. You know, if I'm standing outside on the street corner and a man starts walking up to me, I'm getting where I'm noticing the man as soon as he's walking towards me. The closer he gets to me, the more rigid I become, because I'm like, why is this man approaching me? I just want to know what he wants. Because you're a man, I'm a man. So I'm wondering, why are you approaching me? I'm already getting defensive. And there's a certain amount of space that you can't break into my personal space as a man without me getting defensive or doing something defensive, because you're a man. But if a very attractive woman starts walking towards me, I am opening myself up a lot more than I would than if a man was walking towards me. Do you agree? All you men listening to me, you very much agree with what I'm saying. This is why men who really understand this, they understand, okay, if I'm gonna get anything out of this man, I can't approach him like a man and try to get anything out of him, because his defenses is gonna be up. But I send an attractive woman to him, his defenses drop. Do you get it? And I've seen this happen. I mean, any of you men, all you got to do is go someplace where there are attractive women. I don't know any place, if you know for sure where they are, but go any place where there are men and women walking around. Watch how a man relaxes and opens up when an attractive woman is in front of him, and then watch how he stiffens up when another man is in front of him. In the exact same place. So many men become sloppy when it appears the possibility of sex is dangling in front of them. And the possibility of sex doesn't have to be a woman offering sex. It just be a pretty girl talking to you. Men open up very easily. And really smart men know how to use this against other men. So because so many men are sloppy and easily go into bad situations behind sexual lust, this story is not new. It is not unique. It happens all the time. I don't even have to give you examples. Just look up one that happened in the last 3 days. I'm recording this 6-8 weeks before you listen to it, but I guarantee you in the last 3 days, there's been one. Just look it up. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is why ambitious men should be monogamous. Number 3, rarely do you see a single man become mayor, governor, president, head of a religious group, such as a pastor of a church, CEO of a large corporation. Do you? Think about that. Do you ever see a single man get elected mayor or governor or president or head of a church or a CEO of a large corporation? When they get named to the position, often there's a big press conference, and who are they there with? Their wife and kids. Y'all think that's a coincidence? You think that's a coincidence? You don't always even see single men become coaches on sports teams at the collegiate level, sometimes not even at the high school level, not even at the local neighborhood 10-year-old soccer team. You don't see single men get appointed to these leadership positions where they're going to be engaging with either women, period, or especially with families. You rarely see a single man anointed to a leadership position in these places. Why is this? Except maybe, I guess, the Pope might be an exception, but generally you get my point. Why is this, though? Why is it that you rarely see a single man appointed to these positions? Are there some exceptions? Yes, but exceptions prove the rule. Reason is, there's a bunch of coaches listening to this now. I know I got a bunch of coaches listening to the show. I got some CEOs and some head of organizations listening to the show. If you're a man and you're in that position, most of you are married with kids. Now, why is this though? The reason you don't see single men in these positions is because those places are positions of power and authority. And that is unconsciously understood. It's unconsciously understood that a man who has power and authority but does not have a solid monogamous relationship holding him in check and holding him accountable, we all know what happens with unchecked power. Unchecked power, there's going to be some recklessness. And any man who could ascend to a position of mayor or governor or president or CEO, guess what they have in order to have gotten there? Ambition. You don't become a CEO by being humble. You don't become president or governor by being humble. You become president or governor because you're ambitious. You tried to become it. That's not something you just fall into. You're not, Julius Caesar. They're offering you the crown of Rome and you just keep saying no. That's not real. All right, that's a fake. I don't know. Julius Caesar was a real person, right? But in this world that we live in here today, anyone ascending to those high positions is doing it on purpose. All right, that's the point. So any man who has that level of ambition has a whole lot of drive. And you put a man in that position of power, visible power, where everyone sees him and everyone knows who he is, and he does not have anything attaching him, holding him accountable sexually, such as a monogamous committed relationship, a family, a wife, kids. Well, what's he going to do? Well, you already know what he's going to do. What would you do? If you were a single man and you were president of the United States, everybody in the damn country knows who you are. Everybody in the world knows who you are. You got a plane. You can get on any time that you want with unlimited fuel, unlimited gas. Everybody knows who you are. You got your own house. You got the White House. You got security detailed. You can keep anything quiet that you want to keep quiet. What would you do? I mean, you heard the stories of people, even when they were married, doing what they wanted to do. JFK. We know the stories. I mean, this is what happens, folks. CEOs, same thing. Sports coaches, same thing. When you're in a position of power, any man in a position of power has drive, and that drive does not just include the work. This is simple human nature, because any man in that position will eventually abuse that authority in a sexual way. Even if he's in a relationship, men abuse it. But without a relationship, forget about it. Not even a chance. That's why single men don't get these positions. This is human nature, folks. It's not necessarily because a man is a bad guy. Men are not bad. I'm a man. And it's not that the man is immoral in some way, shape, or form. I'm not with the moralizing arguments anyway. It's because a leadership position is a pedestal. And when you're on a pedestal, you are naturally a target. And the target doesn't necessarily mean negatively. Again, a target just means everybody can see you and everyone's coming for you in some way, shape, or form. You become president or governor, I would bet, I've never been president or governor or even mayor, I bet the first thing that happens when you become president, governor, or mayor, your first day in office is that you got a whole bunch of phone calls and letters and knocks on the door from a bunch of people who what? Everybody wants something. Is this true? Any of you who's in a leadership position, when you got hired, when you got put into your leadership position, you became the new president, you became the new regional manager, you became the CEO, you got hired as the head coach at a school. What's the first thing that happens on the first day? Everybody wants something. Is this true or not? As soon as you get to a leadership position, everybody wants something from you. They either want your time, they want to interview you, they want to say hi to you, they want to make sure that you know who they are because they're going to ask you for a favor in 6 months. They're not going to do it now. They're going to wait 6 months to ask you for a favor, or they want something right now, or they want to remind you of how y'all used to be friends, or y'all been friends for a long time and they want something from you in exchange or something. Everybody wants something. As soon as you get on a pedestal, everybody wants something from you. Any of you who's in a leadership position, please co-sign what I'm saying or refute it if I got it wrong. I know I'm not wrong, but co-sign it. Everybody's coming for you. You become a target. And if you're a single man and you're on a pedestal, well, guess what you're going to be a target for? Some women who want to be attached to a man with power. This is just hypergamy. A woman wanting a man who has resources, or at least appears to have resources. Power is a resource, by the way. There are some women who are going to offer themselves to you just because you're in a position of power. You could be ugly, fat, balding, have bad breath, be old, and what's another negative thing about you? Whatever else negative could be said about you. There are women who will offer themselves to you, not because they are physically attracted to you, but because they're attracted to your power. Now, power is an aphrodisiac. You don't know what that means. It means it increases sex drive. Power is an aphrodisiac. You ain't got to have nothing else going for you. You have power. You are sexually attractive to women. Not all women, but women, period. Actually, really all women on some level. Doesn't mean they all act on it, but you get what I'm saying. Once you get on the pedestal, you become a magnet for everybody, men and women, because everybody wants to be around you. Power is very attractive. It's very magnetic. Powerful people just have people wanting to be around them just because of who you are. And a man in power is a magnet for women for no other reason than the fact that you have power. Again, you don't have to be pretty. You ain't got to have a six-pack. You don't have to wear nice clothes. You don't have to do anything else that you think makes women attracted to a man. You don't have to have any of that as long as you got power. And many people equate money with power. So if you're known for having a whole lot of money, again, you could be ugly, fat, bad breath, short, don't matter. You got money? Okay, you have power. Okay, I'm interested. That's the equation. And again, I'm not saying every woman is into this. I'm not saying every woman even acts on it. But power is attractive to everybody. Now, what people do about the fact that they're attracted to your power varies. But when you have power and you're visible, you're on a pedestal, everybody wants something. I already explained. You don't got to be pretty. You ain't got to be nice. You don't have to have good hygiene. You don't have to go to the gym. All right, the power alone draws. And people who make the decision about who they're going to name as a leader, they don't choose a man who can be distracted very easily by that. They choose a man who they can at least surmise, okay, he's got a wife and kids. Okay, so at least there's some reason to believe this guy has some discipline. And if you don't have that, you ain't getting in. That's what it is. Let's recap today's class, which is why an ambitious man should be monogamous. On the heels of things we've seen over the years and even recently, this is why this episode is necessary, because a lot of men getting sloppy out here. I've been talking about this a lot over the last month or two. Number one, your 5 forms of investment: time, money, attention, energy, and focus. If you are ambitious, all of those need to be going towards your purpose, not towards anything else. You cannot divide your attention or your focus. Remember, focus is a force multiplier. You start splitting it, you are not serving your ambition. You're going to get beat by somebody who is. Number two, when you are ambitious, assuming you have skill and effort and you're serious, eventually you will start achieving. When you start achieving, you're going to start to draw attention, and part of that attention will be coming from things that have nothing to do with your purpose, but you will be tempted by them if you have nothing keeping you from that temptation. Again, that's for a man. That means a committed relationship. Number three, rarely do you see a single man become mayor, governor, president, head of a religious group, or CEO of an organization, head of a college sports team, a high school sports team, or even a local 10-year-old sports team. Why? Because a man who's on a pedestal with power is going to attract women, and that has nothing to do with what you are being hired to do. That's why the people who make the decision about who we're going to put into a powerful position on top of that pedestal say, let's at least choose a man who has some semblance it gives us some semblance of reason to believe he has some discipline when it comes to his sexuality. And if there is no reason to believe he has any discipline because there's nothing holding him down and holding him accountable, we're not putting him in a position of power, because it's natural that as a man with drive and ambition and testicles, he is going to abuse it. And again, you see men who are in relationships abusing their power, let alone a man who is not in a relationship. He can just do whatever he wants. Oh, forget about it. Again, that's why they don't get named leadership positions. So any of you single men out there who want to get into a leadership position, go get yourself a wife. Guaranteed to help your career. That's kind of tongue in cheek, but it's really not. All that said, ladies and gentlemen, work on your game university. All right, you want to learn the discipline that I'm talking about here, how this applies to your life on a personal level, also a professional level, and actually make it work in a way that actually matters to and for you. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com, have me as your direct coach, and let's get to work. Time is of the essence, especially those of you who are ambitious. All right, time is of the essence. My 2-year-old son knows this phrase now. When he's coming to my office and trying to get me to come with him to go do something, or it's time for us to go to the park, he says, Daddy, time is of the essence. Let's go. So all of you need to know it. Workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre all